Hey, Dr. Peace here. I'm your host for the Office Hours podcast, and I'm glad you stopped by. Today's episode, I interview my old friend Rob McCall. And yeah, you're going to want to listen in on this one. We used to work together back in the days of my child protection, and he was a county police officer that would go out with me on when I had to go visit a family. We argued in the car and out of the car. We have two totally different perspectives on social services. I don't know, he's mellowed a bit with age. I used to tell him when we rode around together that he was the younger brother I never wanted. But anyway, we have a good time in this episode talking about real stuff, about investigations, about undercover work, about going out together and the fun we had, but also some of the times that weren't so much fun. It's a real interesting episode, so I hope you'll hang around and give it a listen. Grab a chair, get your favorite drink, and let's do this. How long has it been since you and I worked together? See, you remember?
Well, my best memory,
Uh-huh.
12 years.
So you think 2000 add or subtract?
Yeah, so I've been retired 6 years,
Okay.
and I was undersheriff for 5 years before that. And so, and then you retired before I became undersheriff, I think. Yes or
Okay,
no?
so 2011 is when I retired. So that's been 15 years.
Right.
But
Right.
maybe
So,
we were still not going out on investigations because the last couple of years I was doing like some kind of coaching job.
yeah.
Anyway, it shows that we're old.
Yeah. I was
The
still
time
working
just
cases in 2011.
the time goes by too fast, Rob. And it just keeps. I'm 75. I'll turn 76 this year. I don't look 76. I don't feel 76. I'm
Right.
fighting it every step of the way. I don't want to. So I'm
Yeah.
having a podcast because I'm
Well,
going to try to stay young.
Yeah. Well, I'm 57, and like I said, I've been retired for 6 years already, and it's gone by just like that.
Wow.
But thank
So are
goodness.
you glad to be out of sheriffing, detectiving, all that stuff?
So glad, so glad. Have not missed it one single minute the entire time. I get asked that a lot. Oh, do you miss it? No, I
Not
don't.
at all. But you
I
have a
mean,
cool job now.
yeah. Oh, well, yeah. It's a job. There's people and there's problems and there's issues every day. But yeah, it's not the sheriff's office. It's not being a law enforcement. And law enforcement has changed so much in the 6 years that I've been gone. I can't even imagine trying to be a law enforcement officer and navigating everything these guys have to do now. Um, Everyone's got their phone out and they're on camera and they got cameras and there's cameras in the cars. Well, you know that probably wouldn't be real good for Rob McCall or anyone else around me. You know that.
You know what my
So,
favorite story is of you? Well, first of all, I have to tell you that my other two interviews, I mentioned you both times because I said that I used to have this cop friend that when we'd go out, he'd say, "Hey, when we go up the door, let's knock on the door and say, we're from the government. We're here to help." But my favorite story about you was you were interviewing a guy. It had to be about sex abuse or something because I was in the room.
yeah,
And you had just a blank videotape on the desk
yeah,
and you kept tapping it.
yeah.
Sometimes we have videotapes of people that we interview and there's evidence like that. And then you tap that thing and that guy ended up just folding. And I was so impressed that all you did was put the video tape there and there, nothing. It was nothing. It was just a
Yeah.
videotape. But
It's never been about what you know. It's been about what they think because they know they did it, right? They know they
they
did it.
did. If they did,
It
you think
if they
everybody's
if they did
guilty?
it,
Okay.
yeah. So
As a social worker, though, I should not have, feel kind of guilty for enjoying that as much as I do. I know we had many discussion about you can lie.
Yeah,
That's not right.
you didn't like that. You didn't like that at
I
all.
don't, and I still don't.
Right.
Why are you able to lie?
Um, I'm a sociopath, I guess. I don't know.
It's get the. I remember you. Any cop I ever spoke with, I think it's always the bad guys against the good guys, and I never could get that dichotomy in my head. Do you still feel that way now that you're
No,
retired?
no. Um, the lines are much more blurry than they used to be back when I was, working investigations. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. In order to be a successful investigator, you have to be a mindset, right? I mean, if you have a suspect and you reasonably believe that that suspect has done whatever it is you're accusing him of doing, you can't go into that interview room thinking, "Well, I don't know, I'm gonna try to get this guy to talk, right? Or I think he did it." You got to go into that room going, this is my guy, he did it, and my job right now is to get him to say what it is he did. Now, you got to be careful with that, right? You don't want a false confession. So, and this is where a lot of people have lost the conversation in regards to lost confessions or false confessions. There are questions that investigators can ask that only the person that did the crime would know,
Yes.
right? And that's what's lost in the conversation in regards to false confessions and things like that. But getting back to my point, you can't walk into that room without a plan and just a smile, right? You got to go in there with a mindset. My job is to get this guy to tell me what he did, because if he doesn't tell you, 90% of the time that crime's not going to get prosecuted. I mean,
Mm.
especially in sex abuse cases, the victim's word against the perpetrator's word, unless there's a witness or some sort of physical evidence that you can hang your hat on. As you well know, physical evidence isn't available many times.
Not as good as, but it is as good as a confession, but you just can't get it. That's what you're saying.
It is as good as a confession only if you have a prosecutor that knows how to present evidence in court.
I told you that I was going to talk to you about the intersect between child welfare and
Yeah.
cops. So think about when we work together, the fact that I couldn't lie. We have full child welfare workers have full disclosure rules. Maybe that's the reason you did the interviews when it was sex abuse. Rarely does a child protection investigator, I don't think anyway. I wonder if that's changed because I've been out of the field so long. But number one, I couldn't lie. And number two, going in to an investigation for me, I always tried to keep the mindset of I'm going to have to weigh the exculpatory against the inculpatory and
Yep.
decide whether and determine whether or not it's likely that this person or
Yep.
this did what they. But you're saying from a law enforcement perspective, you have to believe they did it.
Yeah, you do have to believe you did it, or you're never going to be successful in getting a confession. And I mean, that is interesting how, social work approaches the same exact circumstances differently. I mean, it, and before I go on to my point, so you sitting there listening to me lie to the suspect, are you complicit in my tactics?
Good question. Good
You
question.
you
This
you
is
you
something we
said
would have talked about in the cop car.
right. So you said you're not allowed to lie. I can't lie. I have
So I
mandates that
take you
tell me I
along.
can't lie. But sitting there being quiet while I am, are you complicit?
Oh, that's a good question. Damn. Ah, no, no. I'm going to say no
Okay.
because I'm doing my job and you're doing yours. And that's the
Yeah.
reason you're there is to do the part that only cops can do.
But
Social
and
workers aren't meant to do that.
see, here I am, and here I am interrogating you, right? So,
Okay, go ahead and
so
interrogate me.
so you already said that that's probably the reason that you did most of the interviews is because I can't lie,
Mhm.
right? So I don't know. I don't know.
So we want, so are we all
You may be
after the
liable.
same thing? In the end, are we all after the
Yeah,
confession?
obviously yes. So
I'm not sure, obviously. Is that it? Is that the most important thing, or is the most important thing to get the person that's in front of you the help they need?
Who's in front of me?
The perpetrator. Don't you want to get that perpetrator help? Come on, Rob. Argue with me.
So don't argue with you.
Well,
You
this
picked
is
the
what
wrong.
we thought about. We thought about it for
Oh
10
yeah,
years together.
yeah. You picked the wrong guy to interview if you don't want an argument. Um, so yes, but okay, twofold, right? My job is to get him to tell me what he did, and if what he
Or
did is
she.
a or and if what he did is a crime and he's prosecuted and he goes to prison, is that really the best thing for that person? I mean, my argument would certainly be, I mean, prison's not good for anybody, right? You don't get any help in prison. You get shoved away from society for a number of time as a smackdown for what you did. But it's not rehabilitation and certainly not helpful to anybody,
That's a good
right?
point.
So
Yes.
what's my purpose of being there then?
I'll tell you what you used to tell me. Whenever we had this conversation 15 years ago, you would always say, my job is to enforce the law.
You know,
So if the law says this is what happens if you did this, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about finding out whether this person did what they're accused of doing, sort of similar to what I did in child welfare. But your
hmm
punishment is, well, can be, I mean, DCFS can land people in jail too if you did something bad enough.
hmm
But I always felt like our job was to intervene with services. And you always told me that your job was to just say, this is the person, I've arrested this person because they broke the law. And now the attorney, the court takes it from there, which is similar to, boy, when I say it out like that, very similar to child welfare.
Yep.
We write
And
up a report, we give it to the judge. The judge says whether or not the people get their kids back. Yours was whether or not the people go to jail. We're more alike
every
than you thought, buddy.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone has their role in the system, and the system, for the most part, works as long as everyone's doing their role, right? I mean, when you went into the same interview, what was your goal was to not necessarily get a confession or not necessarily figure out why he did what he did, but to help the family, help him, and help this not ever occur again.
What we say in child welfare, we say we're the Department of Children and Family Services.
Yeah.
But by the time, if you were involved in a case of mine, then my goal was to see how to keep that child safe. So if someone is sexually abusing a child, my first job is to get them separated, which that's kind
Well,
of
right,
your job too as a cop, right? You're
right,
trying to keep that person away from hurting other people.
right. Yes.
So
Yeah. I mean that's first and foremost, right? I would say
yes,
secondary to the welfare of the child, the welfare of the victim. Doesn't have to be a child. It could be an adult who's been
true.
sexually
In your
abused
case, yes.
or domestic battery. That is the first and foremost goal is to make sure the victim is safe. Second goal would be the prosecution or the confession of the perpetrator, and then I suppose after just punishment, if there is such a thing, then perhaps rehabilitation to reintegrate and make sure. And there's always underlining not excuses, but I have come to realize that there are underlining causes for almost every action that somebody does. Now, sometimes just pure evil exists. Look
Wow.
what we have going on right now, right? With all that, but
Yeah.
I mean that's just pure
Epstein,
evil. But
are you talking about?
sometimes there are underlining circumstances of why somebody did what they did. It's not an excuse.
So would you say, Rob, we both worked for the government
No.
and maybe we were, just as you said, there to help. You think we were or not?
We were just there to help.
Were we there to help? Hi, we're from the government. We're here to help was a big joke. But were we, when you think about it, looking back, hindsight's 2020, were we really? I felt like I was trying to help, but I wasn't sure you were.
That's
Just
that's
fucking with you, just
that,
fucking with you.
that's
Yeah.
fair. I would say this. I would say that um, I come to realize in law enforcement there was nothing that I did that helped.
Same here.
There, 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 there. I, I may have temporarily helped an individual victim temporarily, but as a whole, there is nothing that I did over the 32 years that I was a cop that made a difference in this world. Just didn't. Just didn't. Maybe individually, right? There may be that case out there that person out there individually for a period of time. And I mean, I've got a story about that too, and it's
Tell the
how they get
story.
in
Tell the
revenge, right?
story.
So I was at a wedding reception not long ago for a family member, and one of the servers that was bringing food and drinks to the table was apparently a victim of an assault on a case that I worked, and I was able to successfully, you know, do the investigation and put the person that assaulted her in jail. And it's terrible, right? But I didn't recognize her. It took me a while to remember the case that
A
she
lot
was
of
talking
people,
about.
a lot of
I mean,
people, a lot of years.
right. This was the most important event that has probably ever happened to this person's life, and
Yes.
I didn't remember. Right, and that's not necessarily bad. It's just the way it is. And you know this about the way that I work too. I was done with the case we just got done investigating the minute I put the last period on the last paragraph of the last sentence of the report. You know that. I mean, that was it. And I went to the next one. Maybe that's how I lasted 32 years. I don't know, but anyway, and my wife was there at the table, and of course, you know who was that, and I kind of briefly described, you know, what the situation was, and I kind of felt bad that I just simply didn't remember her. She didn't look familiar to me, and it took me a while to catch on to who this person was. So it was a little strange. I mean,
Was
the
she
cases
thanking
come back
you?
around when you least expect them.
Was she thanking you? Was that it?
Yes, yes, that's exactly what she was. You know, I think she literally came up and she says, are you Rob McCall? And I was like, well, and this was after I retired. All right, I wasn't in law enforcement anymore. And I probably said something to the effect that, well, I used to be, or something like that. And
That's good. Good line.
and she said something to the effect that you saved my life.
Wow.
And it took me aback. I was like, you know, and it's a busy room, you know, and it's a wedding, and I'm there, you know, celebrating the marriage of a niece, and then I chatted with her a little bit, you know, and got to, you know, I didn't do anything. The fact that she's still out and around, running around and living her life, I mean, she saved herself. I didn't do anything. I wrote a report.
Well,
And
I
that's
don't
it.
know though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you probably did. Hey, are you willing to talk about your? I've been thinking about this ever since I booked you for an interview. I thought he's still willing to talk about your undercover days.
Yeah.
I think people would find that very interesting.
If I
So, for a
remember.
time in your career, I've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
You didn't look like Rob McCall that I went
Yeah.
out on
This
investigation.
was darker.
Yeah,
This was
yeah,
darker.
yeah. So, tell just a little bit of it, if you don't mind, just like how you
Yeah.
got into that and what it was like.
So while I was working at the sheriff's office that I worked at, Shelby County Sheriff's Office, everybody knows me and everyone knows where I live. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Um, I was assigned to the state police East Central Drug Task Force. And during my about 7 years, I worked for the task force working drug cases. And it's really where I learned to be an investigator. It's where I learned how to talk to people and interview people and lie to people, right? And become the guy who can solve cases with little to no information, right? So Yeah, during that period of time, I did quite a bit of undercover work in the area of East Central Illinois, buying marijuana back in the day, back when it was illegal to have
Reefer
marijuana and
madness.
the dreaded weed, right? So that's how far this goes back, right? So you could have marijuana, and I was out there buying marijuana and crack cocaine and powder cocaine, and when I worked undercover, methamphetamine wasn't really a thing. It came on later in my time at the task force, and that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I mean, I've bought cocaine and crack cocaine from everybody from 16-year-old white boys to 72-year-old black females. I mean, you name it. You name the demographic in between those two people, and I bought drugs from them. So it was,
I think one of my favorite stories about that time is when someone, and I'm not sure I'll get it all right, so you'll have to correct me, but I think someone you had been the one that outed him, I guess, for lack of a better word, and then you showed up in court and they were like, "What?" Like they couldn't believe that you were the guy because you
yeah,
were their buddy.
yeah, yeah.
Do you
No,
have any?
there, yes, there was an occasion where, as the undercover officer, I had to appear in court because the defendant was refusing to take a plea bargain, right? And he was wanting to go to trial because he never sold to a cop. There ain't no way that I sold drugs to a cop. Never
Mhm.
happened. And so at some point in time, they called me into court, and I was sitting in the back of the courtroom, and and he didn't see me, and his case got called up. So he walks up there next to his attorney. Now I know his attorney. His attorney's been talking to me, right? Going, listen, I get it. He did it, but he will not take the plea. We're gonna have to go to trial. So the state's attorney and the defense attorney got together. It's like, okay, let's have Rob come in and testify at a preliminary hearing, and that way this guy can see and hear what it is that we all know he did. And let's get this case done with. So I'm in the back of the courtroom, and they call his case up, and he goes up there and he sits next to the to his defense attorney, and they call me up to the stand, and I walk from the back of the room right past him up to the stand. I turn around and I sit down, and he sees me, he realizes who I am, and Linda, he literally passed out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I do remember that now. I remember
Yeah.
that part of the story.
He
Wow.
he slumps in his chair, passes out, right,
Wow.
realizing he's going to prison. So anyway,
Wow.
that was interesting.
Yeah. I think undercover work is something that, because of the nature of it, the general public, well, we see TV shows,
Yeah,
but you were the first person I ever talked to that had all these great stories.
yeah,
Like, I mean, your wife had to take you places as a scrungy looking thug.
yeah, yeah. There was,
Did you have a family
you're,
picture taken or something?
yeah. I
Just
mean,
thinking
yeah,
you,
right. There was a picture of one time. I mean, yeah, we would have family pictures or something like that, and people would go, okay, that's so and so. So who the hell is that with? You know.
and being honest, the people listening to this won't know, but Micah is a very classy, well put together lady.
Uh,
So for her to be with this thug like guy, probably kind of, uh,
who, by the way, officially has terrible taste in men. I mean, come on, let's face it, horrible taste in men.
well,
So,
I'm, I
yeah,
think
but working undercover was some of the best times I've ever had in law enforcement. It really
really,
was. There was a lot of camaraderie amongst the agents who worked, dope cases. When you would do an undercover, you would walk into a house, and there's always that potential of something going wrong, right? And unbeknownst to anyone, the public and the person you're buying the dope from, when I'm inside there, there's law enforcement officers in the area, in the neighborhood, ready to come in, were something to go wrong, and you just kind of really develop a bond, when you're relying on these guys to watch your ass out there. So I mean, I enjoyed the camaraderie. It is some of the best times I've had. Yeah, it truly.
and honestly, what you're describing is what I felt about you and the other cops that went with me.
Hmm.
when I was going out to investigate people that might have had guns on the property, or I was scared for some reason.
Yeah.
I tell everybody I used in my early days as an investigator, I wanted to take a cop with me every time. And finally, I was working several different counties. I wasn't just assigned to Shelby then. And I had my supervisor finally said, "You can't do that. The police have a job. You can't take somebody every time you go
Yeah.
out."
Well,
So I got used to not taking someone, but I know what you're describing, that this person has my back. I'll never forget once with Mike Miller that we went to someone's house, and Mike is so big, and he was standing there next to me, and this guy called me a bitch. And I mean, Mike just unloaded on him, stepped between me and him, and was like,
right.
"Don't, she works for the state government. You don't call her names." And it just felt so good. And I had that happen so many times with
Right.
law enforcement, that they were there to protect me. Yet, you and I, as much as I respected all of you, we had some fun. We never got mad at each other, but we had some intense conversations on ideological differences.
Oh yeah.
So here you are now, 57, you're retired 6 years. What do you think about that collaboration between social work? Because now social workers are going out with police officers.
Yep.
So
Right.
what do you think about that collaboration between social work and law enforcement?
Which other than DCFS, right, that never occurred in the time that I was in law enforcement, right? You're going out with us, right? Um, I will say this, it's probably a pretty good idea because cops aren't good at social work, right? Now,
Well, it could be weird.
I'm sure they are taking training classes in the academy and in-service training and all that. But you see how I'm saying this? I'm sure they're taking training, right? That doesn't mean that they're any good at it, right? I mean, the mere fact that a law enforcement officer shows up at your front door and he's in uniform and he has a bulletproof vest on and he has a gun and he has all this other stuff, right? That sets the tone, right?
Yes.
I mean that sets the tone. There is a certain way that this interaction is going to go. We can talk, right, and we can be cordial to each other, but there's a point in time when the talking's done, and now you have to do what I'm telling you to do, regardless of what it is, right? Cops aren't real good at being patient, and I think they are getting. Never watch the news when I say I think overall law enforcement's getting better at de-escalating situations. Now I say that, and then you have the shit that happened over in Sangamon County, right?
Hmm.
Or the stuff that's happening out in Minnesota, right? It's absolutely horrible. And
Yes.
believe me, I'm probably in the majority of my past profession that believes that. Not the thing in Sangamon County, but ICE and all their stuff and wearing the mask and going out and kicking doors and dragging people away. I'm probably in the majority of the law enforcement profession that thinks that's bullshit.
They
But
able to say that? Like if you were still working for the sheriff's office, could you say that?
no, I mean I would,
Well, you would. Yeah.
but
I forgot who
but
I was talking to for a minute.
yeah, but I mean I would be in the minority of law enforcement most anywhere you go. Most anywhere you go. I don't know. It's a strange situation. But to
It
get back to
is.
your question, social work and law enforcement working together. Yes, they have to. We got to get better at it. But the more time that cooperation occurs, the better it'll get. It's not about it's not about okay, law enforcement has social work riding in the squad car with them now, right? It's about the relationship like you and I developed when we're driving to these calls, right? It's not the actual work going on the front porch of the person's house. It's the relationship that is built in the squad car on the way to that call that will make it successful,
So
right? So
true. So
if
true.
if we're going to have social workers in squad cars and in law enforcement agencies, they need to be occupying space in that building, right? They need to develop the relationships and the trust, and that goes both ways. You just
I
can't.
think that is happening. Yeah. And I
I mean,
remember when I had an office in Shelby
sure,
County Sheriff's Office,
sure.
and I loved it. They pulled me out because, they said it was too much cooperation, I guess, or something. I think they
And
found out I was having too much fun sitting in that control room where, oh my, I'm gonna
yeah,
forget the guy's name, the guy that dispatched.
well, you had Bob
Said
Zakowski
Bob,
and
Bob,
Bob.
sitting in there with him and Coons and you and my just all these people that we became like family.
Sure,
And
sure.
you can't replace that because then when we go out, like you said, we have a bond. And I used
Right,
to tell you, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to tell you, you were like the little brother I never wanted.
right.
And I'm not sure what
Absolutely.
I think I was the mother-in-law that you were glad you didn't get. Or
Yeah,
no, I wouldn't be your mother-in-law. I'm not going to say grandma though. I think we even talked
you're
about
not
that
quite
once
there.
so I could be your grandma. I was like, fuck you. I'm not going there with you, Rob. That's not the
No,
game.
no.
But
I think that's
maybe
exactly right.
I'm not an old aunt, I guess would be. But I always wondered, and now I have the opportunity to ask you, when you were called to go out not only with me, but other child welfare workers. Did that feel like soft work to you, or did it feel important?
Oh, wow.
Like
Um,
part of your job that, yes, you would expect to do that, or did it feel kind of soft?
I mean, it depends on what we were going to go do, I guess. I mean, you said you wish you had a law enforcement officer every time you went out into the field, just to follow you around, which I get, right? But
The gun. I want the man with the gun in case something goes
yeah,
wrong.
but like I said, cops aren't good social workers. I
Or girl
mean,
with a gun. I'm sorry, I was
yeah,
being very gender biased there.
yeah,
Or
well,
because I went out with
Kevin,
Chrissy Ruff many times and I appreciated her support just as much.
yeah.
So
Now
anyway, go ahead. I correct
I think she
myself.
works for DCFS now. I don't know. I heard she.
Really? I
I
kind
think
of
so.
lost track of her, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So have I. But I don't know. I mean, yes, there are times that I had cases that I need to be working that I can move forward, and maybe not necessarily with you, but felt like,
No, it never would have been with me.
well, I mean,
It would have been
why
some
am I
other
here? You need
worker.
somebody to knock on the door. Well, I mean, what am I doing here, right? You just don't want to drive to Cowden.
I tell
I
you
mean, what's
what,
the deal here?
I carried some guilt because I had not in Shelby County, but I'm not going to mention the county, but I had a couple of cops one time say, "Hey, we need you to go knock on this door so
Mhm.
that we can get in because we know they got drugs in there."
Oh,
And I felt kind of like, would it be called a patsy? That's what I felt like. I felt kind of like a patsy, like you're using me and I don't like it.
yeah.
But
No,
I
I
guess
mean,
I was using all of you for protection, so I was afraid
yeah.
I went
Well,
on it.
it's part of that relationship. They trusted you enough to ask you if
Yeah,
you would do something like that,
yeah.
right?
So
So,
they called in a report, and then I went, and
yeah,
they didn't
interesting. Now, I
mind
mean,
much, I don't think.
going out and meeting the public is never a waste of time. I mean, it needs to be done, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure I helped being there. I think you could have got done what you needed to get done without law enforcement there.
Hmm. We always, I know I don't think it's a hard and fast rule, but most child welfare people, if we're going to take custody, we take
Oh yeah.
law enforcement
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it can get, boy, man, can
That
that go crazy. Um,
name a time where that didn't go. Name a time that didn't go somewhat south,
Yeah, that's rough.
right?
Remember, we can't tell a lot of details, but remember the time that we went out on a meth case and I had to take the kids and the people accused you of planting the
Yeah. I, yep. I, I know it well.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, my goodness.
I can take you to that exact house right now. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh man.
Yeah,
And I remember
that was a strange case.
one of the kids when I was taking him into custody, one of the kids told me that they knew that they had been told by their parents that DCFS might do this someday because
Yeah,
whoever took them, got money for taking kids.
yeah.
And that's a common myth that, sometimes families believe that DCFS gets paid some kind of a stipend for taking these kids away and then adopting them out. But
Like a
we actually
bounty.
do not. Yeah,
Hmm.
sort of like a bounty. Yeah.
Wow. and that's pretty common. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
obviously, it's
people, well, I don't know if they do. See, I feel like I'm so far removed because I've been out of it. This kid that well, he's not a kid, he's an adult. The former student that I interviewed a couple of days ago, he was talking about his work, and I was like, oh my God, I want to go back and do that again. I don't like this end where I'm retired and just talking to people. I want to do the work. What about you? Are you happy with retirement or you want to go back and get in the
no,
midst of it again? No,
nope.
never.
I'm done. I'm done and done. I did my part. I mean, I'm happy the way it is right now. I still like working at the marina. The marina just sold. It's under new ownership, so we'll see what that future holds for me. New owners almost always bring in new management, or at least something like that. But that's fine too.
You almost seem
The,
like
the
the,
older the older I
go
get, the
ahead.
more I just want to stay at home and with my puppies and my wife and
That's good. But you
that's
seem
it.
like the guy that would go to Margaritaville. Whenever I see you on the marina, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of cool that you're retired cop and get to go watch boats all day.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? I might
Um,
be.
I mean, that's how they sold me on the job. That's not necessarily what I do every day, But yeah, I mean, every once in a while you get to drive a boat and you're out in the sun and working on your tan and talking to the people, having a good time. So yeah, I mean, overall, there's always something breaking down. There's always something needs fixed. There's
Yeah,
always under pressure to get a boat fixed so it can be rented. I mean, we're there to make money, right? And which is a completely different way of looking at the world than I used to. I mean, in law enforcement, you're given a budget and you have X amount of money that you can spend on squad cars and overtime and uniforms and stuff like that. Well, now, I don't have necessarily a budget, but what I do is I try to take what we have and make a profit so we can increase. I've turned into a businessman, so to speak.
oh,
And
gee.
a lot of people ask me, you know, how does being a law enforcement officer help you manage a marina? I was like, in no damn way at all. It's just, it just doesn't exist. But it's been a nice
No,
change,
no,
developing different
yeah.
skills and doing something else and kind of decompressing from all that you and I have seen and done and talked about for a long period of time. It's been a nice little decompression period. So, but it's kind of running its course too. So. I may
I'm
become the
in.
co-host of your podcast in my next career.
There you go. Boy, would we be a team.
Yeah,
I think people would listen.
yeah.
I do think people would listen. My first interview was with a former student who's a formerly incarcerated person,
Hmm.
and he's so smart and so he's just a really neat guy. But I threw out the idea to him. I said, "Hey, I'm having a cop friend of mine on. I think you two would be good in a room together. We'll see. We'll see if
Right.
it plays out. We might consider that
I'm willing.
sometime
I'm
down the
willing.
road." Okay, I think he would be too, because I don't think there would be. Well, my son keeps telling me, a good argument on a podcast is good, Mom, but I don't know if it's necessary. Anyway, so if you had, I like to keep it just to like, I'm trying to keep my episodes between 30 and 45 minutes, but there's
Yep.
some cutting that'll be done. But I like to ask the same question at the end of every interview, and that is, if you could say something to the world about I'm going to test your social work
Hmm.
as a law enforcement person. What would you say to the social work world that might help them? I don't want to say do better, but be more effective. What would you like to teach social workers? We're always saying we're going to teach law enforcement how to be kind. What would
Yeah.
law enforcement like to teach social workers?
So you're asking like, what advice can I give social workers in regards to dealing with cops, or what is the best advice I can just give them as they make their way through the world as a social worker?
Either and.
So in dealing with law enforcement, right, and cops and the people that you're going to meet along the way. realize that they are not any different than you. They don't have the answers, right? They're out there doing a job, doing the best job that they can, but they're not going to show up and cure your problem, right? They're not going to show up like Harry Potter and wave a wand and magically everything is fine now. That's not what law enforcement is. It's not what they do, and it's not what they're capable of doing. Never have and never will. The second half of that is making your way through either as a law enforcement officer or as a social worker. Always, always, always remember, never forget, it is what you do, not who you are. You have to separate who you are and what you do every single day. And I think once you figure that out, then you got a chance of. I mean, I actually looked up some statistics before I got online here. Do you know the average, and I say lifespan, do you know the average career lifespan of a social worker in the United States?
Wow. No, I don't. I know, like for child welfare, the burnout happens rather quickly.
Real
Like
quick.
I was there 10 years, but that was long.
Yeah, like 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
Like 2 to 3 years, right?
Wow.
I mean, that's how long people last. And actually, child welfare, um, that time frame is even shorter than 2 and 3 years. I mean, we're talking a year and a half, 2 years, and people are done,
Rough job.
right?
Yeah.
In law enforcement, 85% of people that go into law enforcement quit the job within 5 years, right? The rest of them that stick around past 5 years have a pretty good chance of finishing their career 20 plus years. The problem with that is um, the average lifespan, and I'm not talking about career span, the average lifespan of a law enforcement officer is 5 years after retiring.
Oh. Huh.
So it's a tough job, right? A lot of people can't do it. A lot of people shouldn't do it, right? But if I had to give advice, remember it's not who you are, it's what you do, right? You got to
It's going
separate.
to be my tag for this episode.
Ah,
I think that's good. My first guy that I had on, he wrote an essay called I Hate Social Work. So that's the title of his
right.
episode. The guy I interviewed a couple of days ago said, the truth is, social work is not sexy. Because my podcast is social work, where social work or office hours with Dr. Pease, where social work practice meets lived experience.
Hmm.
So your advice is what you do, not who you are. That's good. That's a good
Yeah.
tag.
Be
I
something else.
I do a promotion for every episode.
Yeah.
I posted a picture of me for the last one. This one, I would like to turn the camera around, do a selfie of me and you right here in
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Let's give it a try. All right. Is this going to work?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to come in a little closer. There we go. All right. What a pleasure.
Yeah.
I
Always
hope
good.
this isn't the last time we talk. I think there's much more to be said. We just scratched the surface today. I think people are interested,
Yeah.
especially right now, in
Yeah.
the real collaboration between social work and law enforcement is important.
Yeah.
And you are a great example of that. And I just appreciate you, Rob. Dang, it's good to see your
I
face
appreciate
again.
you too. So, I mean, now that we're winding up, I mean, I know you got
Uh-huh.
to get going. You got other things, but
No, I'm fine.
Carl's good.
He is good. He has and I know you probably know he has leukemia. It's a slow growing leukemia. It's CLL. But anyway, he's on chemo for that, which makes his skin cancer active. So he has a
Uh,
lot of things going on where he goes to doctors all the time. But he's still good. He's still handsome. He's still
Handsome Carl.
wonderful. He still puts up with me.
Yeah. Well,
I worked for a high school once that the dean of students said nicknamed Carl Saint Carl, and every time he saw him, he'd say, "To live with her, man, you're a saint." I mean, that's all. I just can't say it any differently. You're a saint. So yeah, he's good. Our
yeah.
kids are Luke's out in New Mexico.
Yeah, I knew that.
Has
Now
a
you guys took a bought a camper and
I
did the
know we're
Great
getting rid of
American
it
Road
now.
trip out to New Mexico and back.
We had 3 good years and 6 good trips, but it just, the older you get, it's
Oh shit.
it's a long trip out there. And that's the only place I really want to go. I didn't want to camp around here. I just wanted to go
Yeah,
there.
and taking care of a camper is a big job too. I mean, them
It
things
is.
aren't
It
easy.
is. And a lot of
Same thing as a
money.
boat.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Always wanted a boat too. But anyway, our 2 daughters that are still living live one 20 minutes away, 140. So they're
Uh,
close. But
Now
Luke, I only get to
You're in Champaign.
Champaign.
Yeah.
Yes. I still teach at the U of I
Yeah.
online, and I teach for University in Boston online.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like Dick Van Dyke, that I just refuse to fucking stop. my my son Luke tells me all the time, you goddamn boomers just won't sit down. It's
Right.
our turn. We're ready to take over, and you just are like, oh hell no.
Yeah. Uh, well, Micah retired a
Cool.
couple of years ago. So she did her time at the state and DNR. She retired a couple of years ago, and then I put her to work out at the marina right away. Out there
Oh,
running the ship store and straightening that out.
I
And
love your little puppies. We have our dogs too. We have the big white lab Rocky, and then our little Shih Tzu poodle that's more like your dogs. He's 11 now, and he's just, Luke calls him the emperor. I mean, he
right.
bosses everything,
Oh yeah.
including our lab. Our lab is 4, and Boo just bosses him around like
I'm
nobody's
I'm
business.
I'm addicted to two things: Shih Tzu puppies and motorcycles.
Oh yeah, those motorcycles, those are dangerous. The Shih Tzu puppies will be okay.
Well, okay.
If you were my son, I'd be telling you. Even if you were my little brother, I'd be telling you now, come on.
You're right, and I'd
But
still be
you like
riding.
them, huh?
Uh, I got
I
3 of them. Yeah.
think
I
does Micah too? I mean,
So
she had
she's
that.
got a
I remember when
scooter.
she got that little pink scooter.
Yeah, yeah. She's got a
That's
different scooter now, but
back.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
got one. She rides it to work out at the marina during the summer, and I ride a motorcycle about every day out the marina. You can't see it from here, but I mean, I'm going to point this way, but you can see the
Uh-huh.
marina from my backyard
Oh wow, that's
you know,
cool, isn't
if
it?
you look out, those windows there, right across that field and whatnot, the marina's right there.
Wow.
And I tell
Very
people, I said, I get up, I pour a cup of coffee, I walk out into the room that I'm in now, I look across that field, and if the marina's not on fire, I go to work. If it's on fire, I finish my
stay
coffee and go
home.
back to bed
Stay home.
because Rob ain't dealing with that shit.
Well, that's the way with me. I just go from the living room in here. On Sunday night, I teach one class. On Tuesday night, I teach another. And now, this podcast thing, I mean, I've had a lot of response just through the Facebook thing. So I'm excited about just talking to people like you. But the kid that I interviewed, God damn it, I keep calling people kids. See, I don't do that to you.
Well, yeah, there's a reason. I'm freaking
You're
old.
the old man I used to work
I'm the old
with.
man. No,
But
I'm sure
this,
everyone. I'm sure everyone that you talk to is in their 20s and they're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to go. Hell, I'm
they're
old and worn out.
actually the my formerly incarcerated guy is 52.
Yeah.
And the guy that I interviewed a couple of days ago is, I think he's in his 40s, probably the age of my son. But anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that. Cut, splice. Carl's my executive producer and boss, he says.
Oh,
But
nice.
anyway, he edits everything. So
That's a
I'll
big
send
job.
this link to you once it comes up, and then you can say, hey, tell Carl to cut this out. I don't want this in there.
Sounds
I'm going
good.
to cut some of this. The other day, the kid I interviewed, I really got into it, front bashing thing. And I said, cut that out because that could alienate some people. I don't know. Maybe someday I will just do it and let it go. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but I think some of the most interesting, and I don't know what your goal is here. I don't know
I
what
don't
your
know either.
you just want to get out there and talk about, you know,
Social work.
yeah,
I mean,
there
it's
you
been
go.
my life. My life is social work, and I love talking to people. So, yeah, kind of that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I get it. Boy, I tell
Would
you
you
what,
listen to a podcast about social work
yeah,
if you weren't on it?
yeah, yeah, right. Exactly. No, but
Now that's a promo clip right there. Would
no.
you listen to a podcast about social work if you weren't on it? Let me think about it. No.
No, 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 not at all. Let me see. Let me scroll through the phone here. Oh, social work. No, that's the way that would be.
I think my former students are my audience. Being honest, being more serious. My former students I'm friends with like 800 of my former students on Facebook, and
Yeah,
they really it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be this late in your life and have young people, 20 to 40 probably,
still be.
that still think you're relevant and
Yeah, there.
like to
Yeah,
listen to what
yeah.
you say.
Relevant.
And my classes are a lot like this podcast. We get into discussions about where are we going with this now that Trump said we're not a profession. I mean, what happens next with social work? So I don't know.
Well, that's a whole nother 45 minutes, you, me, and that particular Cheeto. But
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm in the minority when it comes to that, in my former profession. But anyway,
Yeah. Good old boys. Good old boys.
I think I remember at least 2 or 3 times I went up to Champaign and gave a talk or whatever during your class and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I've often, kind of wondered where them folks are now and how it worked out for them, and that sort of thing.
Yes. Yes. They're
Filled
for
their
my,
mind
a
full
lot
of
of them are for
full of
my
shit.
friends on Facebook.
Yeah,
It's interesting,
interesting.
interesting jobs we've had where, like you say, when you work with the public, you build relationships. The lady that came up to you, how wonderful that
Hmm.
someone would come up to you and say, "You saved my life," even though it's humbling
It
to have
is.
someone tell you that. I know, and but gosh, what a neat. Not everybody gets to do that kind of shit.
Not everyone gets that. Yeah, that is true. I
And I
mean, I
think we
wouldn't I wouldn't trade anything that I did for $1 million, but I would sure never do it again.
we were kind of were we a Starsky and Hutch kind of team? What's a
Maybe
boy
Crockett and
girl
Tubbs.
team?
Maybe
What's a boy
Crockett and
girl
Tubbs.
team? Crockett and Tubbs. See, they're both boys too.
Oh yeah, that's
Cagney and
right.
Lacey are both girls.
Yeah.
Is there a boy girl team?
Oh yeah, Hunter and remember that?
Mm-mm.
There
You're
was an
older
old
than
show
me.
named Hunter, and actually the female detective's last name was McCall.
See, I'll have to look that up. I don't
You look
remember
that up,
that.
and he was kind of a big, tall prick. So so
Too
yeah, I
much
mean that could have been
fun.
us.
Too much fun. Tell Micah I said
Yep,
hello. Kiss your puppies for me.
we'll
Hey,
do.
I'm going to be emailing you that, and we're going to stay in touch because there's going to be more than one episode involving the infamous Rob McCall. I'm sure of it.
I love it.
I think you'll
Sounds
come
good.
back by audience demand.
Yeah, well, there's little chance of that, but I appreciate your positive into this particular episode.
Take care of yourself, buddy. Good to see
Bye.
you.
Scene.